think I'm ready to be in position to oversee an organization, or I'm ready to be in a position to be a vice president
Okay.
of a corporation
Talk to
or
me.
business.
I like this.
So that I can make some of those decisions that I've oftentimes I wasn't a part of, but I had to execute the decision. And so those things, and those people made those decisions based on where they were at, and they didn't fully understand the work, how those things get done, the people who execute those things. And so oftentimes I'm like, and then I can't say nothing because I'm here and you here. And so I can't tell you.
Hierarchies.
You know what I mean? And so you know what? Instead of me being angry, I'm like, you know what? I'm taking notes. I probably wouldn't have did that way. And this is how I would have did.
Really?
And so for me, it's always like I've learned not to take things personal.
Welcome, listeners, back to Fresh P Podcast. On this podcast, we like to learn from others, right? That being their perspectives, their points of views. My name is Baserou, also known as Base. And on this episode, I have the director of the workforce development here. He just recently, y'all, just got his degree, right, in business administration and management from the University of Notre Dame. He also has a bachelor's in criminology, psychology. And here with me, I have Jeermal Sylvester. How you doing today?
Man, I'm good, bro. Man, I'm glad to be here, man.
Absolutely, man. It's an honor to have you here. I appreciate you for just taking time out of your day, pulling up on me, man. Like you said, when I first saw you outside, it's been about 3 years, but I remember the first time I met you, we were with Deshaun shooting the podcast. So, man, I think it's interesting just how people come in your lives, and I just know that like when I met Deshaun, him and his father, I was at an event, a networking event, and it was just father and son, and I just know it reminded me of my father. And I don't know, something about that day. And then fast forward, Deshaun just, him being an entrepreneur, getting it. Took the words right out of my mouth. He brings, his family's coming on the podcast episodes. I'm just like, man, y'all got a really powerful family.
Yeah.
And I'm learning you guys are from South Bend, which is interesting too, which, man, I want to say, how is it now that you've got your degree in business administration? How does it feel?
Man, to be honest, I graduated on May 17th, and I'm just now starting to come down from the high of it. Growing up in Chicago, so I grew up in Chicago and I was raised in South Bend, and Notre Dame was never on my radar. Like, my granny worked at Notre Dame in the dining service. She ran the dining service. My mom worked in the food pantry at Notre Dame. My dad worked in the cafeteria. My aunt worked in the other dining hall. And so when I heard Notre Dame, it was from a worker perspective. It was never presented to me as something that you could do from an academic perspective. And so, fast forward, at 51, I say, I'm going to go back to school. Most people like, it's over. Like, you supposed to be well set into your career, all of that different stuff, man. And I'm like, you know what? I've been working and I've been grinding and I've been doing some stuff, but now it's about legacy for me now. And so I was able to get my bachelor's degree, and that whole journey was about survival. Notre Dame was about legacy. And so it took me a couple of weeks. It took me 2 years to complete the program, and it took me a couple of weeks to come down from the high, and some disbelief that, man, I did that. And I didn't just go and was just at school. Like, I was fully immersed in the experience. So much that I was like, I'm going to try to, do the best that I can academically, which afforded me to I was cum laude as well. And so to hear my name and then hear that come after my name also was a stamp of approval that not only did you belong there, you also was there and you competed with some of the greatest minds in the United States. it wasn't just people from South Bend, it was people from California, Minnesota, you know, just all over the world. And I was there, and I wasn't just a fly on the wall. I made my presence felt. And so I'm just now coming down. And it's been a wonderful feeling, man. And like I say, to have my family there, to witness that, and knowing that my grandmother and my second mom was looking down, you know, on me very proudly, like, boy, you did that. You know, it was just like, man, you talk about a sense of accomplishment. Because when you come from where I come from and been through some of the things that I've been through, to say that, one, that I'm going to go to Notre Dame, but then two, not only go to Notre Dame, but you kill it at Notre Dame, and then I heard my name called at Notre Dame. Like, it's one of the greatest accomplishments of my life.
That is a beautiful story. I personally want to congratulate you, man. That's, like you said, you know, at your age, it's something, you know, most at that mindset, you know, wouldn't consider.
And it wasn't an easy decision. Let me say that. It wasn't an easy
Talk to me about that, because I was going to ask you about the journey.
Yeah, man. It was a lot of self-doubt, imposter syndrome. You know, that's a real thing. And most people that know me know I'm a very confident person. I think you recognize that.
Yeah.
I know what I know, and I walk in what I know, and I walk in who I am. But once again, because Notre Dame was never on my radar, it was never something that was presented to me, even in high school. My counselor didn't say, "Hey, Jeermal, let's sit down, let's look at your grades, and then let's look at what college you can go to." It was, man, you gonna do a trade, or you gonna go get a job, or you might go to Ivy Tech. No knock on none of those things, but when you come from environments where people see you a certain way, Aristotle, and I'm paraphrasing, has a phrase.
Gotcha.
He always talks about, we are what we repeatedly do. And so for me, if all I see and all I've been told is that I can only do these things, then that's a low bar. And the problem with what happens with us in our neighborhoods is we allow people to set low bars, and then we hit those low bars. Like, nobody rises to low expectations. You can roll out of bed and do what everybody else doing. It takes those who are disciplined and who are focused to say, no, I want something different for myself. And so, to be honest, I got the application. I was told that, hey, go ahead and apply. You're going to get it. And I'm like, man, like, I know who go to Notre Dame. You talking about some of the world-renowned, smartest, I'm like, man, I'm
very prestigious.
Never considering myself as that. And so I'm like, man, the clock is ticking. I got to have my application in by midnight on this specific date. I was sitting there, and at 11:10, looking at, like, might have completed everything, but I'm still letting the clock tick, because now self-doubt is coming in.
Really?
Yes. Dude, you really want to do this? Do you really think you can do this? And so I'm sitting there, and I sit there for 40 minutes toiling over, should I do this? Then it's, man, can you afford this? Are you going to be smart enough to do this? Man, you ain't, like, you got a criminology and psychology and human development degree. Like, people. You know stats and accounting and all of this stuff that come with what you about to take on. And so I'm sitting there, and man, when God talk to you, man, he don't yell, he whisper. But because it was quiet and I was, like, really in deep thought, man, he said, why not you? And then I clicked send, man. It was 11:59. I could have very easily not be talking about me being a graduate from Notre Dame, because I almost talked myself out of an opportunity. Like, it wasn't, now I might have had some people who were saying, man, he crazy for trying to do that, but I hadn't heard it. This is me talking to myself. And sometimes we can be our own worst enemy. We could be our greatest cheerleader, and we could be our biggest doubter and joy stiller. And I was in that space, man. And then fear. I was scared. Like, man, what if I do start it and then I can't finish and it is too much? And so all of those things, man, I went through all of that, man, with my confident self. Like, at that moment, I was like, man, I was so vulnerable, and I was like, hey, you know what, man, I'm going to go on and stick my neck out here. And I had to thank God for the group of people who went with me, it was 11 of us who went from the Diversity and Leadership Program, which is now the Talent and Diversity Talent Development and Leadership Program by Dr. Leon Taxler. And so a group of us went down there, and so I probably wouldn't have did it if I would have went by myself. But because I had, 11 other people who went with me, most of them looked like me, probably had some of the same doubts, it made it a lot easier, because for me, it wasn't me going to Notre Dame, it was us going to Notre Dame. And we made a commitment to each other that we were going to get through, and we all graduated. So
I know that's right.
Oh, man.
I know that's right.
It's power in numbers, especially when you got everybody has a intentional and a concentrated focus on what we came here to do. Did we have a good time? We did. We made sure that we were Notre Dame students. We went to the football game. We went to other, social networking events. So we were there. We weren't just, like, okay, we doing this as executives and it's no, we were students, and we enjoyed the 2-year process. But I will say that for me, I know for a fact I wouldn't have been able to do it without them other people being there with me.
And shout out to that community. That's beautiful. I like. Okay, with that said, I mean, you said that 11:59. I mean, self-doubt, things start to come in. Now, right? Fast forward, we're here. We made it. Right? We got the MBA. How does your mindset shift now when taking on, because at that moment, that person, that Jeermal,
right,
and now that you've done it, self-doubt, but it was just your environment. How has that changed? How does that change your perspective on just your self-confidence, and then now taking on big tasks? You've never seen people, no one would even attempt going there, right? So how has your mindset shifted since then?
Man, it really let me know. And my mentor used to always tell me, you never know what's on the inside of you until you put yourself in the environment or put yourself in a situation for that thing to come out. He used to always tell me, Maul, everything you need is on the inside of you. And I believe that for each and every one of us. Everything that we need for whatever wild dream or goal that we have, everything that we need to make that thing come to fruition is on the inside of us. But you have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations and environments in order for those things to come out. And what we typically do is we like to play it safe, and we like to stay in environments or in spaces where we're the top dog, or I'm the best, or it's easy. And we found that has done more harm to us and our community than any other thing, that is because we become complacent. And so for me, it was about getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. My life has been all about uncomfortability. To leave the United States and go overseas to play basketball to a country where you don't speak the language, it's uncomfortable. And I had to make a decision. Are you going to go back home and hope for something to happen, or you going to stay over here and you're going to make this work where you're getting paid X amount of dollars a month? I got to stay. I got to figure this out. Do I like this? No, I don't. But I know the end result. If I can push through this, my bank account going to look right. Other teams going to get to see me, so I create other opportunities for me. And so every time that I've ever put myself in an uncomfortable environment, when I stick to it and push through it, there's always been something greater on the other side of it. Always. And so for me now is, man, I've always been confident, but I think doing that at this point in my life, I don't think that I won't say that I won't have any self-doubt, but I don't think it'll be to that level, because I know that was, when you talk about some of them big Goliath mountains that you have in your life, like I think that was a Goliath mountain for me. And now that I know that I can conquer that, I don't see very much getting in front of me that I don't feel like I can't overcome. And for me, I've been an overcomer all my life. I've defied the odds. Resilience is my superpower. And so I think I said when we first met, I talked about most people define being resilient as the ability to bounce back. And in 2015, sitting in a training, I was like, man, if I only bounce back, like, what does that? So I just bounced right back to, I ain't getting nothing out of that. So I redefined it for me. Resilience is the ability to bounce forward. I'm going to take what knocked me down, I'm going to learn from it, and then I'm going to take that step forward. Because to only bounce back, if I didn't get nothing from it, I'm only going to fall again. And so you have to learn, and then you have to have proof that you learned, and the proof is that you took a step forward. I can't tell you nothing if I can't show you that I went through what you going through, Base, but look where I'm at now. You ain't gonna listen to me. You'll be like, bro, you still stuck where I'm at.
Right.
But if I can show you that I was able to excel or I was able to move forward, now we got something to talk about. That's gonna make you more intrigued and want to be engaged, because now you like, bro, I'm sick and tired of being right here. I'm trying to get right there. So let me lock in and hear what you got to say. And it may not be everything that I say, but there may be some habits and some truths and some information that I might be able to give you that'll help you overcome yours. So for me, it's,
Right.
I don't, like, you throw whatever at me, I'm ready.
Yeah, that's forward. We gonna do that.
Yes, sir.
Just that. I mean, you just got the MBA. So now you pursue business administration and management, right? Why that?
I've been working in the nonprofit space for a long time, and I love that work. I love helping my people. I love helping people in general. But there comes a time when you can only help to a certain level. And so in order to help at the level that I want to help, there are certain expectations for those positions. And so when you want to be in C-suite, executive director, VP positions, they look for certain things from a skill set, but then they also look from an educational standpoint. Do you have a master's? Do you have an MBA? And so for me, it was like, okay, I've been in this space for 15 plus years. I've done case management. I've done boots on the ground. I've done assistant director. I've done director. I'm ready to do something else. I think I'm ready to be in position to oversee an organization, or I'm ready to be in a position to be a vice president.
Talk to me.
Business.
I like this.
So that I can make some of those decisions that I've oftentimes I wasn't a part of, but I had to execute the decision. And so those things, and those people made those decisions based on where they were at, and they didn't fully understand the work, how those things get done, the people who execute those things. And so oftentimes I'm like, and then I can't say nothing because I'm here and you here. And so I can't tell you.
Hierarchies.
You know what I mean? And so you know what? Instead of me being angry, I'm like, you know what? I'm taking notes. I probably wouldn't have did that way. And this is how I would have did.
Really?
And so for me, it's always like I've learned not to take things personal, and I use them as motivation, but then I also use them as tools to help me so that when I get the opportunity. I was just sharing with a youngster the other day. I said, man, typically what happens is we want to be promoted into situations, and we do a great job of dreaming.
Got you.
Man, dreams crazy. You're vivid, you can see it, but we don't do a great job of preparing ourselves so that when the dream comes, we can take advantage of the dream and we can make the dream come true. Oftentimes you dream, you do a little work, the dream comes true, and then you're not ready. So it don't last long, or it don't happen at all. And so we have to do a better job of preparing ourselves for the dream. And I say, my saying is, I'll be 53 on Sunday. Dreams don't come true, not because they not supposed to come true. They don't come true because you wasn't willing to do everything that came with the dream. You only want to do the stuff that come easy to you. You only do the stuff that's fun. You don't want to do all of the grit and the grunt, and you don't want to do all of that. If you look at anybody that's successful, whether that's sports, music, influencer, business, when you ask them about their dream, and then you ask them what did they do, they didn't skip a step. They didn't omit nothing. They took that dream and they wrote everything down that came with that, and then they did everything that made all of those things come true. And for a lot of us, we don't want to do everything that comes with the dream. Like, we want the dream, but you don't want to do everything that comes with it.
Man, everything you just said takes me to one saying: if you fail to plan, then plan to fail.
Yeah, period.
And so, right, you get the MBA, right? And can you talk about just your role with, being the director of workforce development, right? You work with kids, right? Or just making sure can you talk about that?
Yeah, so I'm at St. Joseph's College. It's Marion's 2-year school. A lot of people don't know that Marion they have 3 campuses. They have another 2-year school up in northern Indiana around Plymouth, and it's Marion University's Ancilla College. And then they have Marion University's St. Joseph's College, and it's a 2-year associate's degree program. But what's unique about the program is the earn and learn. So our students go to school and go to work at the same time, which I feel like in today's climate, especially for people who come from underserved and marginalized communities, being able to go to school, because I think the education is important, but also being able to work and not in a survival job. Mm-hmm. Like, you can go get a survival job on your own. You can go to Popeyes, you can go to Walmart, but to get a professional job at a One America or at a CNO Financial Group, or to work at Early Learning Indiana, or to work at IU Health, or to work at some of these professional settings, you can't always get into those spaces unless you have a degree or you have some type of work experience. And so my job as the director of workforce development is to go out and build relationships with employers who, one, have a need, who have the capacity to hire young people, but more importantly, who find value in growing their own talent and understanding that paying for it on the front end is less expensive than if you decide to pay for it on the back end. And what I mean by that is taking a young person and investing in them as a freshman and sophomore, and maybe even a junior and a senior, and bringing them into your environment. You've created a loyal employee because you've invested in them when they didn't have all of the requirements that typically these positions would require. And you said, you know what, I'm going to take a chance on you, Pace. I'm going to bring you in here. I don't know if you can work this equipment or not. I don't know if you know how to use Microsoft Word, or you know how to send an email correctly, or even answer the phone. But because I believe in the youth, in Marion County, and I also know that I have a group of people who are aging out, and I need to prepare myself so that when they leave, that I have people who are ready, not learning how to do the job. They're ready because we're teaching them and we're utilizing the people that we have right now to train them, so that when they leave, they just go right in. And so there's no fall off, and you can keep it going. And it's been amazing. I've been there 2.5 years, and I'm watching kids from as far as German Church and Post Road, people from Hallville, Speedway.
Wow.
I'm watching all of these young people from different backgrounds, even people from Haiti, other countries, man. Venezuela, they're coming to our school and they're thriving. They're getting these professional jobs. They're growing as young adults. They're growing as professionals, and they're doing some amazing things, man. And it's cool to be able to set someone up. I'm a basketball player, and ain't nothing like having a good point guard who know how to throw the oop and they throw the pass right. Like, man, you ain't make me work too hard. You put it right where I needed it.
Yeah.
So all I had to do was
flush it.
That's what I'm doing with my students, man. I'm throwing them the alley-oop, man, and they taking
slamming now.
They taking it and doing some amazing things. A lot of our students have gone on to go right into full-time roles after they've graduated with their associate's degree.
Yeah.
Some of them are working full-time and pursuing their bachelor's degree, and the employer is supporting them. So it's been cool, man. And it's next to being a parent and being a mentor, like, this is like right there. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't put a price on it.
That's beautiful. I think, right. It sounded like you told me this is what college should be.
Yeah, really. And I think for me, I believe that because tuition costs is continuously rising, young people don't want to be in school for 4 years because they're watching Instagram and TikTok
Oh,
and they're seeing success happen at a shorter rate. And so for them, do I really need to go for 4 years? And don't get me wrong, college, I think it's important, but I think it's important for those who can do it. There are some people who have gone to college who should have never been in college. It wasn't for them. And so they end up wasting time and they get in debt. But for those young people who cognitively and they have the wherewithal to be able to go in and handle the academic rigor, but then they say that, you know what, I'm a breadwinner in my household. I don't need a job. I need to start my career right now at 18. Then that's the environment that they need to be in. They need to be somewhere where you're going to be able to get this hands-on, applied knowledge and be able to go into an employer and take what you learned in this book and from your professor and take it into this environment and get this real world experience right now. So you're doing both at the same time. And so for me, I feel like our program, most people talk about ROIs, a return on investment. Our program is a right now investment. You get to reap the benefits of it as a student and as an employer. You growing your own talent right now. As a student, you get to start your career right now. And so it's an R&I investment for both parties.
Oh, I like that. That's a bar, man. Man, because we in this day and age, you brought up social media and just how attention spans are decreasing. I mean, can we sit in the class? I have ChatGPT. Let me not say too much, right? Thank you, man, for just having a position. For blessing the platform with this info. I don't know if we could do something to raise more awareness on a program such as yours at these universities, because that's a lot of pressure that we have as, young adults.
Yeah.
Going to college, it's, go to school, we heard that. So, just you being like just the challenges, right? It comes with want to pursue that MBA and, you got family, you got, maybe you take care of your body. How was that? How challenging was that?
And it took a lot of intentionality and a lot of discipline because all of those things. Now I understand why people go and get their master's degree right after their bachelor's degree, because or if you do it during the right time, which most people would say after high school, you go get your bachelor's degree, then you do your master's.
Right.
Typically, you don't have any kids, you haven't incurred a whole lot of debt, you don't have a lot of responsibility. So to go later in life, like you got all of these different responsibilities and you got a full-time job. None of those things said, well, Jamal, you know what, man? We wanna we we're gonna stop doing or we're gonna stop expecting the responsibilities that you've been able to provide, and we're not gonna hold you accountable to those things while you go pursue this. I still had to do all of those things, and I had to be 100% present in the MBA program. And it wasn't easy. It was a stretch. And oftentimes when people would ask me, I would say that it was stressful and it was stretchful. And so that stress stretched me. And once again, you don't know what's in there until you put yourself in an environment to be able to be stretched. And so it's the John Maxwell talk about the law of the rubber band. Uh, if you take a rubber band and it has its natural form, if you put that rubber band on something that's bigger than its uh, natural state, it'll never go back to that size. It'll never go back. So if that rubber band was that big and you put some on it that stretched it to that big, it'll never go back to this big ever. And so that's how you want to be as a person in your entrepreneurship journey and your education journey and your personal journey. You want to be like a rubber band. You don't ever want to go back to the same state if you've gone through something. That's why I say my definition is I gotta bounce forward. I can't go through something like that as traumatic, as stressful, as hard, and then I stay the same, but why did I go through it? No, I gotta get something out of this, and so I allow myself to be stretched, and so it was great, but it was tough. It was and still trying to go to the gym and get my workouts in.
I figured.
Sometimes I was going to the gym up there. I would try to get it in here, but I had to be intentional about that because also self-care is important. All of those other things that are named, oftentimes you're doing things for other people, and we'll break our neck to do all of those things for other people, and we'll find every excuse in the world to invest in ourselves. And so I'm like, you know what? Man, I'm tired, I'm wore out, but I'm gonna get to the gym and I try to get my 2 hours in. I shoot for an hour and then I live for an hour. And that's for my mental, that's for my emotional, that's for my physical. I get all of those things when I'm able to do that. And then there's sometimes that, man, because my day at work was so long, man, I can only do an hour. Then I'm gonna go live for an hour, but I gotta go do something because my body has gotten used to that. And being a former professional athlete, I've been conditioned to work out and train. And so when I took time off, I had a dark season where I wasn't doing anything, that I felt the heaviness. Like, I didn't pick up a lot of weight. I just felt heavy because I wasn't doing anything, and my body and my mind wasn't conditioned that way. So I had spent so much time, man, I gotta go to practice. Then I gotta get up some more shots. Imma go run. Man, once you train yourself to do that, you gotta continue to do. Even if you're not pursuing that, like, I still gotta do that because that's edifying my body. That's giving me peace. And so once I got back to doing that, and it also gave me energy to be able to do those other things. If you fit and your body right and you got energy, like those times where I probably would have been tapping out, I'm like, this ain't nothing. I've been here before, and so I know how to push through, and so that's what I condition myself to do. Like, you got to be intentional, you got to be disciplined. At the end of the day, how bad do you want what you say you want? And this stuff that you say is hard or it's mentally exhausting. Like, what you want is on the other side of that. So you got to make a decision. I made the decision that that's what I want, and so I'm gonna by any means necessary at the end of the day.
Yeah, man, it takes me to one saying, man, if you don't use it, you'll lose it.
Period.
Yeah, so like, that's one thing I continue to realize, and I condition myself constantly to continue just the habits, right? It comes down to those. And so with that said, like, you know, you talk about just challenging your mindset to rather you said something earlier, you've learned to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. I guess that just stems from your background. You're coming up. Can you speak about just how it even became? Because that's not easy for most people, right? You told me just everything that you had to navigate pursuing the MBA. You just can't put everything else to the side. So can you just speak to that?
Man, it's I'm thankful that I still consider myself an athlete, but being in sports, you don't realize it when you're going through it. But once you have to hang up whatever that sport is, like, you begin to reflect and you start to think about some of the things that you go through. Like, being an athlete, one thing that we're gonna always have is the one more attitude because we've all been on the line, whether it was on the football field or whether it was on the basketball court, and coach told us to line it up. And you like, "Man, I can't do it no more." And on the line, and you was right back on that line because you know what's at the end of that. If I don't run, that's potential of me losing my starting spot, getting kicked off the team, and so you know what? I don't feel like I got nothing else, but I'm finna get on this line and find out. And what we found out was we had something else in the tank. And so sports has given me the one more attitude. Sports has also allowed me to see that life is about the highs and lows. Uh, if you, I'll say this: when somebody says that somebody's flatline, if we're looking at the EKG machine, it's just a straight flat line, right? That means you did. And when somebody is breathing and they're living, the machine is it isn't a straight line. Most of the time, we feel like our life should be a straight, and it's no. That EKG machine that's the blueprint on how you gonna live.
How symbolic.
Come on, bro. It's gonna go up. It's gonna come down. It's gonna have a little bit. It's gonna go back up. Just saying. Man, once I saw that, I was like, oh my God.
So that take this, because I'm learning right now. You talk about this EKG machine. I really like this the analogy, right? And because right physically, if you put me right now,
Yeah.
I'm breathing, I'm up and down, up, but mentally, how does that is that what you're speaking to?
Yes.
The mental component?
It's the mental and the fit. Like, you gotta be okay with not, like, I know in a perfect world, you would wanna excel and you would wanna stay up there, but that ain't the world that we live in. Like, that ain't the life that we live. Like, you have your highs, and then you might get a little low, and then you might come up again. The problem is when you get okay with staying low, now you're not living, you flatline. For me, I wanna live, and so I'm okay with going high, coming down a little bit. I might come down a little more, but I only came down to go back up, 'cause I know that that's living and it's a part of life, and then that's where that mindset comes in at, like, okay, I'm down for a moment, but while I'm down, what can I do to ensure that Imma excel again? What can I do while I'm down? I'm not gonna lay down. I'm just down. Most people lay down. No, I'm just down. And as long as I'm down, I can look up. I know where I wanna go. What am I willing to do to get back up there? And be okay with that. Be okay with the blips and the EKG of life. At the end of the day, you look at that machine. Man, it's some people that if I hook it up to them, 'cause they done tapped out, they done laid down, and they done flatlined, and you can see it in their life, they ain't doing nothing. But the people that's living, man, hey, man, don't be tripping over that. Yeah, it hurt, it's painful, but man, either God trying to work something in you or work something out of you. Either way, you win. Either way, you win. So keep living.
You don't let that just that was that was the peak of this episode, man. That was the peak, y'all. I'm telling y'all, man. Continue to live. I'm talking about mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Man, continue to live, man. Be that EKG machine. I appreciate you sharing just your just learning how to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's one thing I think a lot of us should learn to do. Life has its ups and downs, as you mentioned. And with that said, just the story of just, you playing professionally overseas, right? That one more attitude. Can you finish this sentence for me? Pacers in.
I can't. It can't. Look, hey, I live here, but I'm not a Pacer fan. Uh, and look, don't hate me. But I think that uh, what they've been able to do this year,
Yeah.
it's been nothing short of amazing. I was talking with a friend of mine, Noah, at the gym, and while I'm not a fan, I appreciate how they play basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, I said, the last two teams in the final are the only two real, what I would consider 1 through 12 teams, and that's probably why they're still standing. Everybody else had 1 or 2 people, or maybe 3, 1 through 12 on both of those teams, and that's why it's such a battle, because they almost a mirror image of each other,
Really?
and that's why it's the ebbs and flows of the game. It's like somebody will get up 9, and then in 3 minutes, the other team up 9, because they're a mirror image, and they both play the right way. And they have people who have been slighted. They've had people who've been misunderstood. They've had people who've been overlooked. They've had, people who have been traded and like, you know what, you ain't worth nothing no more. And so when you have all of those things, and then you have great coaches who know how to pull all of those things together and play puppet master in a way that both of the coaches have done, then you get to see what you see. If the Pacers won, I wouldn't be like,
Yeah.
oh man, they shouldn't have. because they do have a great team, and I think that the OKC team, being as young as they are, I think that they have a great team too. For me, I'm just enjoying watching the finals.
Yeah.
So I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm just not a Pacer fan. I grew up in Chicago, so I don't, that
Yeah,
would
I understand.
that would be a violation.
You know, it's just so much positivity in the city. I'm talking
It
about,
is. It's good for the city.
absolutely, right? You having your business, I mean, getting your MBA in business, and just I'm seeing, I'm even thinking of new ways to even market
Yeah,
just because of just the attention that just winning does.
absolutely. And it's deserved. It's deserved. They got that T-shirt. It say, anywhere else, it's just basketball, but not in Indiana.
Mm,
No, it's different.
it's deep here.
Oh man, you talk about this is a term that they don't even use anymore. But when I was coming up in high school, they had a term called Hoosier hysteria. Hoosier, if you 40 and older,
Yeah.
oh man, they know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Bro, they was doing the state championship game at the Hoosier Dome. It's like 50 to 70,000 people
Hoosier.
at a high school basketball game for the state championship. It was crazy. And it was all over the state. It was in rural Indiana. It was in all of our cities. Man, when the basketball started, man, all you heard was shoes squeaking and buttered popcorn, and the gyms was packed. The fire marshals was there because everybody wanted to be there. It was an event. It was something.
Community.
Oh my God, it was amazing.
Yeah.
So for me to move from Chicago and come into that and get indoctrinated into that, like that also taught me something about like being able to be good at something and then having people value and appreciate that in a way like no other place. Like I'm talking about, man, our JV games would be sold out because people wanted to get there early so that they could be at the varsity game. So you got cats who on the junior varsity team playing up in front of something that don't happen, but in Indiana there's more than
Hoosier hysteria.
Hoosier hysteria. And so that's what they're bringing. Caitlin Clark done last year. And, they rode that wave. And so to have the Fever do what they did and Caitlin be able to do what she did last year, and then to have them, they had a great season last year. They just fell short. Tyrese got hurt. They played well last year. And so to come back and then do it again, it's not a fluke. Like they really good. They really got some ballers on their team.
Overrated is crazy.
But then you have players who have been slighted or, who
Get that chip on your shoulder.
you play from it comes from a different place.
Right.
I know that because I played like that. I played with a super chip. I had 2 chips. I couldn't look to the right or the left because my chips were so big. So I get it. And it's great for the city. You seeing a lot of, people come out and support and, just you see people wearing their T-shirts pridefully on non-game days. Typically you would only see that stuff on game days. Man, you could catch it on a non-game day. They got their shirts on and they out here and they representing. And so it's a good thing, man. And you talked about the economics behind it. It brings a lot of money to the city. And it creates a lot of opportunity for entrepreneurs who look like me and you. It's up to us to find a way to get in and tap into the resources and tap in
The leverage.
to the people who are coming here from other spaces to make them, even outside of basketball, we got other stuff going on here in Indianapolis too that you might want to tap into. And so how do you put yourself in a position to be able to take advantage of, it could potentially go 7 games. How can you put yourself in a position to tap into some of this money that's going to be here into the city? And whatever it is you're doing, whether you selling clothes, whether you a videographer, like what are you going to do? How are you going to position yourself to be able to take advantage of that? Because this is now a memory for people. It's been 25 years since the finals was in Indianapolis. And so now you set up you a photo booth and you getting it in and hey, yo, I got these backdrops to, man, we don't know when this gonna happen again. You don't know. Man, let me create this experience for you in downtown Indianapolis before you go to the game. It's an opportunity, and it's a lot of opportunity here, and so tap in, make it work.
Yeah, you spoke about just, playing with just having 2 big chips on your shoulder, right?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I think obviously, we currently in your moment in life, right? You just received this MBA. And I wanna, for those that are listening, someone that may be older and they're looking to pursue education, what is something that you could say to them that, that just the importance of lifelong learning?
Man, it ain't never too late. Don't ever let somebody tell you that it's too late, and, uh, your past or, what's happened to you doesn't disqualify
Mhm.
you from being able to take advantage of opportunities now. What I do know is Jamal doing an MBA at 51 had a much better chance of succeeding than Jamal doing an MBA at 22 because of my work experience, my lived experience, being a parent, doing all of this stuff. I was ready to take on. I didn't even know. I'm sitting up here doubting myself, and when I get in there, I'm like, "Oh, I do know that." Because most of us, if you run your household, man, you've been a CEO, you know how to finagle and you know what, hey, gonna have to pull back. We ain't gonna be able to go to the movies. We gonna eat TV dinners and we gonna do something at the you know how to play with them numbers and you know how to make it work. You know how to, you know what? I ain't got the whole 175 for the light bill. Imma go drop 75 and then Imma put 50 on this bill and then Imma hold 30, 40. They happy that I gave them something so I can keep them off my back so that I can navigate and do some other stuff. We all know how to do all of that stuff. We become critical critical thinkers. We become solution based because we had to out of survival. We found a way to thrive in survival, and so for me, it was easier. For I think that I was able to do it at the level that I was able to do it because I waited. And so it might be better that you wait to do it later on because now you get to take all of those things. The conversations that we were having, man, we was talking about stuff that was happening either at our jobs right now or happening in our life. And they were real and they were relevant. And so that's what it was all about for me. And so, man, don't let nobody just age ain't nothing but a number. That's what Leah said. Age ain't nothing but a number. And so don't let your age deter you from chasing your dream or chasing any educational attainments that you're trying to get to. Because that journey or whatever it is you decide to do is probably going to be more rewarding at this point in your life because of all of the lived experience and the things that you've gained over the years.
It's obvious that you find education significantly important, just given you being a director of workforce development, right? I mean, with that said, you mentioned it, you at 51 years young, right? Um, what, y- what's next for you?
I don't know, man. Like I said, I'm just now coming down from graduating from Notre Dame, and so people was asking me, like, of course, once I told people that I was going to Notre Dame, like everybody is like, "Oh, you about to level up." You're right. I'm what you gonna do? And I would tell people kindly, like, bro, I'm not even worried about that right now. I want to enjoy this. And I want to be present. I want to be in the moment. I don't want to do 2 years and be like, man, I don't even remember. Like, I got memories. Like, I was there. I was present. I stood up for 3 quarters against Ohio State before we scored a touchdown. Like, that's as a student, you don't sit down until they score. I stood up at 52, knees aching, but I stood up like, "I'm here. I'm a student." He said, "Hey, I'm good. Imma follow the script." So for me, it was just being present and being in the moment, and then now I'm coming down. Now it's about being strategic because the one thing about Notre Dame is Notre Dame has a brand that it doesn't need any help lifting it up. It's global. I don't need to when you say Notre Dame, people know what you're talking about. Or they see the Shamrock, I know what that means. And so I don't need so for me, it's taking advantage of the network and now taking what I've learned and being intentional and being clear about what I wanna do next, and then using that network and that brand to help me do it. And so, it was a small part of me that was like, "Man, I need to, cause it's gotta make sense." It's very expensive to go to Notre Dame. I ain't gonna hold you. It's expensive. And so for a lot of us is, how do I make me making that decision make sense? SENSE and CENTS. It's gotta make both of them. It's gotta make sense and sense. How do I make it make sense? I'm like, "Man, slow down, cause you don't wanna put yourself in something or put yourself in the environment or take an opportunity that you really didn't think through and you solely did it because you're trying to make it make CENTS. No, slow down. Let's be intentional about what we doing." And I have a side business as well, Sylvester Solutions, executive coaching, consulting, leadership development, workshops. And so during this time of me taking my time and slowing down, I'm gonna build and grow and cultivate that. And in me doing that, I believe the opportunity that I'm looking for, I won't have to look for it. It's gonna come find me because I'm doing all of the things that I need. And so I'm just gonna stay diligent to my growth and my development. And the Bible says faith without works. And so I believe, but I gotta be doing something so that he could do what he do. And so Imma believe, and then Imma put in this work, and then it's gonna happen for me. It's not gonna be something that, like, I had to claw and beg and scrape for. Like, it's gonna be specifically ordained for me, and I'm just gonna be able to walk into it.
Yeah, that's you taking the time to just really appreciate the moment.
Yeah.
I
'Cause oftentimes we don't do that. We get so caught up in the moment, and then it's gone, and then somebody asks you about it, and you, I really can't even tell you. How crazy is that? To have this great accomplishment, and then you can't even really explain it to nobody because you wasn't in the moment.
Yeah, man, I think awareness is very, very important. Yeah, and I'm happy that, man, you was able to pull up, man, and slide to Fresh P Podcast, man, and just be in the moment. Man, I want to congratulate you once again, right? We got the birthday coming up on Sunday, you said, so I guess the high coming right back, right, for the weekend.
'Cause it's Father's Day too.
Oh, nah, man. That high coming right back. Yeah, man, because I know you love just your family, man. So that's amazing. So, Mr. Sylvester, where can we find you at?
You can find me on IG at Jeermal Sylvester. Is JeermalSylvester. I'm also on LinkedIn. I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. A lot of people don't know how to properly use LinkedIn. LinkedIn is Facebook for business, for entrepreneurs, and for people who are trying to level up. I've found a lot of mentors and found a lot of business and built a lot of great partnerships and friendships on LinkedIn. And so you can find me on LinkedIn. Same thing, Jeermal Sylvester, JeermalSylvester, MBA, comma, CYC-P. That is my tag for that.
All right. Well, Mr. Sylvester, I want to thank you for your time, for pulling up to the pod platform, right? Sharing everything that you shared, right? I've learned so much. I mean, just from, knowing that, right? Even though I'm young, I may got my bachelor's, but one day, and I do anticipate to, further my education later on in the future, and I will. And just hearing how, right, you had all, you had the self-doubt, but you overcame it. And so, that's some things that I've learned and right, just being in the moment. That's I think that's the time we're living in right now. I think things just happen so fast, right? So yeah, just long story short, man, it's an honor to have you here. It's been a privilege, right? I mean, just even from just connecting with your nephew, right?
Yeah,
And I can't wait to see what life has in store for you.
appreciate it.
Yeah, continue to grow. But yeah, listeners, so if you have tuned into this episode, be sure to connect with Jeermal Sylvester. He is the director of workforce development. He just got his MBA in business administration and management, and make sure you guys connect with him. Information's out there. See ya.